let's jump into the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and their draft. Obviously, they didn't have they're the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. They're that good. They don't need them picks, but they had some highlighted by Logan Hall, Luke Godecki, and Rashad White, the running back out of Arizona State. I want to start off though with the Logan Hall selection. Now, in the pre-draft process, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers were honestly, I mean, they traded out of their first round. They traded out of the first round, and then they took Logan Hall with their first selection in the second round. They were projected. A lot of mocks had them going with the defensive tackle out of UConn, Travis Jones. Obviously, Travis Jones ended up falling. They take a different defensive tackle in Logan Hall. Why should Bucs fans be happy about Logan Hall, Aaron?
Yeah, this is actually one of my favorite players out of Houston. Obviously, not a lot of people watch Houston football, but he plays really light on his feet, but he's a big dude. This dude's almost 300 pounds, 6'6". He's effective with his hands, so he knows how to drive his legs, but he knows how to use his hands to get offensive linemen off of him. We talk about hand placement for defensive linemen all the time. You mentioned Travis Jones. I think that a Logan Hall has better hand movement and hand placement than a Travis Jones does. He might not be as well-versed or well-rounded as a Travis Jones, but I do think he has better hand movement. He has this bully mentality. He's going to be stronger than most defensive or offensive linemen just from his size alone. And he's athletic for as big of a guy as he is. He ran at 4.7, 4.8, 40. He knows how to anchor the middle there. I think this is a guy that Tampa is going to fit right where Tampa Bay wants him to. We talk about an Ndamukong Suh who's been an anchor there for a couple of years prior to that in Detroit. This is a guy that you can plug in right away. This is a weakness on this defense was the offensive or the defensive line. You put him right next to one of the best in football in Vita Vea. He's going to see a lot of single coverage blocks. He's going to be able to get a maneuver around those and make plays. And I think that's what Tampa Bay is looking for. There are times where his flexibility can be a little bit better, has moments where he kind of leans and taking on blocks. Obviously, there's going to be some weaknesses for a guy this big coming into the NFL, but overall, he's going to be able to sit right next to an elite pass rusher, an elite run stopper in Vita Vea, and next to our wonderful friend, what's Shaq. Big Shaq. Big Shaq next to us, our wonderful friend of the show, Shaq Barrett, and he'll be able to make some plays. He'll see a lot of single coverage, as I mentioned. So I'm excited for that pick. I thought it was one of their few needs on a team that, let's be honest, probably Super Bowl bound talent, at least on the roster. They have talent level being a Super Bowl team.
Yeah, definitely the potential is there. And I went through all the Shaqs before I got to Shaq Barrett.
That's exactly what happened to me. I was like Griffin,
I went through Shaq
Mason.
Yeah,
I totally blanked out. I don't know why, but I did. I totally blanked out.
That shit.
I think that's the exact
stack. The right sport.
That's the exact Shaq stack I had as well. That's definitely the route I went. It took me a minute.
That's the Shaq stack that I went with.
That's too funny. Too funny.
Hey, so if I may, so we pull the curtain back here. Just before we jumped into this one, we talked about what the Bucs were doing, and Aaron said they only had 2 picks, and I argued that they had 4. And I think the next 2 picks are very important with them. I mean, so let's not forget with the drafting of Rashad White, that is a great replacement for who they lost in Ronald Jones, who honestly had his little moments, but never really got to be the running back they thought they'd get there in Tampa Bay. Rashad White is the second White that Tom Brady is going to love having in the backfield because he's one of the better receiving backs in this draft. I think he was 3rd in FBS when it came to running backs in 2021. So you get that guy to go along with Leonard Fournette, who's already shown that he can be a very good receiving back. You get a nice runner in Keyshawn Vaughn, and you round out your backfield again. And then you go down to their 4th-round pick, the tight end in Cade Otton. Well, this may be the first pick to me that wasn't really a luxury pick for the Bucs because Rob Gronkowski is twiddling his thumbs, sitting on his hands, and partying on the Gronk boat and hasn't told anybody whether or not he's coming back to play football. And when you think about it that way, all they had was Cameron Brate and Cody McElroy, who I think has seen like 20 snaps in like 2 seasons or something like that after letting go of O.J. Howard. So this was a need pick for them. As far as Cade Otton as a player, it remains to be seen what he's going to do in the NFL. But I think through their first 4 picks, those are something that they really needed to go through with.
Yeah, not a lot of pick. You're.
You hot? You got something to say?
Well, I mean, you brought up the Rashad White, and I've been waiting for this because everybody, his name hasn't really been thrown out there. Rashad White is not going to play in Tampa. Let's make that very clear. You forgot to mention they re-signed Giovanni Bernard. So he's the pass-catching guy that you're actually talking about. Not to mention, Keyshawn Vaughn was actually touted for his pass-catching ability coming out of college, which is why they liked him so much, because he was so versatile. Leonard Fournette is going to see all the snaps at that position anyways. Rashad White ain't seeing the field. This is not somebody that's going to come in and actually play over a Keyshawn Vaughn, who got some good experience last year, play over a Giovanni Bernard, or play over a Leonard Fournette. Again, I'm not saying Rashad White can't be good, but let's be honest. He spent one season at Arizona State, had a good year. I don't even know where he was at before. I think he came from a JUCO. He's had 182 carries at Arizona State. Productive, rushed for 1,000 yards, nothing special, and he's terrible in pass protection. You think Tom Brady's going to let you on the field when you can't protect him? No way, no how, not going to happen.
Run 6 yards that way and turn up the field, be ready to catch the ball and take off.
Doesn't work that way in the NFL. Doesn't work that way in the NFL. James White was on the field because he was really, really good at pass protection and he could get out of the backfield. If all of a sudden you say you're coming in and you're going out for a pass and here comes a blitz and you have to pick up that linebacker and you can't do it, Tom Brady is not having you on the field. That is not happening. So unless he goes out of his way and improves that pass protection, Rashad White will be doing what Keyshawn Vaughn did his first year when he could block, which is not
perfectly fine. That's perfectly fine. I didn't mention other people. I didn't expect him to come in and be the starter day one. He's a good piece, though, and they needed another running back who can do a lot of things.
They didn't need no running back.
Leonard Fournette signed. If the damn Jaguars,
in 3 years, Tom Brady's gone.
Snoop Connor.
Hey, man.
In
3 years, Tom Brady's gone.
I say he can be playing next season. I think it's 3 years. I mean, Tom Brady's probably going.
Leonard Fournette signed a 3-year deal, is what I'm saying. He's going to see the volume.
They found a way to put people on the field next to Leonard Fournette. There was a spell where Leonard Fournette didn't play for 5 weeks, and then Ronald Jones got hurt, and that's when he supplanted himself.
You're talking about 2 years ago? You're talking about 2 years ago before Leonard Fournette?
It matters. It was a part of it.
Yes, he earned their trust. He earned Tom Brady's trust.
Back in the lineup too. Maybe he wasn't taking over for 5 weeks at a time.
No way.
But you are not. Leonard Fournette is not taking 100% of the snaps. Gio Bernard is a specialist. They bring him in certain situations. He's not the guy like, oh, all of a sudden we need a pass catcher. You're
talking about a third-round pick here.
Yeah,
we're not talking about a 5th round, 6th round running back. We're talking about a 3rd round running back.
So who's to say he can't come in and impress? Who's to say old ass Gio Bernard ain't gonna be touted just for his mustache now? If he can come in and he can show speed, he can show soft hands, he can show the ability to be used in many different ways as a running back, they're not just gonna sit that man on the bench for an entire season. And
what I'm saying is they already have that
injury conversations. And I'm saying they drafted him for a reason in the 3rd round for a reason. If they are going to give this man a chance to come in and show he can do it, no. I'm talking about in camps. I'm talking about OTAs. I'm not saying, hey, week 1, here's your shot. I'm saying they drafted him in the 3rd round for a reason. He's going to get the opportunity to compete. I don't think you're absolutely sitting him behind Gio Bernard because you have that much confidence. And he's a good player. Don't get me wrong.
No, you're sitting him behind Gio Bernard and Keyshawn Vaughn.
All right.
Keyshawn Vaughn was just wait. Keyshawn Vaughn was just drafted in the 3rd round.
Yes.
So now Ronald Jones. When was Ronald Jones drafted? So they've just given up on all these 2nd and 3rd round picks, and all of a sudden now you're going to bring in this one, and it's going to be different? No way.
I think you have Leonard Fournette. I think you have Keyshawn Vaughn taking snaps at the running, and I think Rashad White comes in and shows that he can win the pass catching role.
No way.
Outside of Gio Bernard.
No way. No how.
It's good. What is it?
Barring injury, no way, no how.
Something I don't know how
you heard it right. No way, no how will Rashad White be on the field in 3rd down situations with Tom Brady at quarterback when the man can't block anybody.
All right, we stamped it.
It only has to happen a few times. Don't got to be week 1, and I'll be right.
We'll come back to this one, and we'll see if this how this is standing at the end of the season next year. But let's see how. I mean, this NFC South there was not a lot of picks to be had with all of these NFC South teams. So let's see how this GPA shakes out for the Bucs and the rest. Looks like this again. We talk about it. Not a lot of picks for these teams in the NFC South, I should say. The Carolina Panthers lead the charge with the 3.32, and right behind them, really, I mean, this is a tight race in the NFC South. Not a lot of picks, so it's much tighter for a grade. I mean, the grades look they're a little different in the NFC South, but Falcons at 2, and then the Saints literally 0.01 behind the Falcons. Shout out Aaron for his math, an incredible grading system that he has. And then the Bucs at 2.95, which is not bad at all. Again, that's a full sale score. That's a full sale APA for me. So boom, right there. GPAs, are there any, do you have anyone want to,
very indicative of how the NFC South is almost year to year. Take out the year Tom Brady came to the Bucs and they just dominated. Normally the NFC South checks up like this a lot. Very tight races all the way through. Division, you're seeing 7 and 9 teams go to the playoffs because they were all bad that year too. Or then you see the 11 and 5 guys that are all good that year. So I'm not surprised that all the grades were so close together.
It'll probably end up being the opposite of what like the grades, like the highest is the Panthers, and then the lowest is the Bucs. The lowest in the standings will most likely be the Panthers, and the highest standings team would be probably the Bucs. So,
yeah, well, remember, a lot of these teams didn't have very many high picks outside of the Falcons having 3 in the top 2 rounds. The Saints had a couple of first rounders, but Tampa Bay didn't pick until the second round. Panthers had a first round pick. It didn't pick again until the third. I thought Carolina maximized their draft with their limited capital. I thought the players they got, again, outside of the Matt Corral, which, could have even bumped up their grade even a bit more, but you address the position you feel like you need in a quarterback. But I think it's close. I think that's the thing we're talking about, a close division. It's going to be a close race. And Tampa Bay, they're the class of the division right now.